Hey, well, it was another exciting week of NFL action, and I am going to debut a new segment here on the All Eyes DB Camp / Gridiron Studs YouTube channel, where I take clips from the NFL action, 4 of them to be exact, each week, and we talk about what either went wrong or went right in those clips, and you can use it to add to your game. Some of the same things that are happening in the clips are things that are happening to you in your games, whatever level that you're playing on, and perhaps you can draw some very valuable information from my video analysis and critique of the individual plays that I pull out. So that is the idea here. Show you some of the things that are going on, how they could have been improved, how they exactly went right, and you can indeed learn from it. And you can also use the comment section, which I would greatly appreciate, to ask your questions or give some feedback on the commentary that I give on these clips. So before we do any of that though, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because I'm gonna have videos like this coming out on a weekly basis. But now let's get to the 4 clips for this week on 4 clips with tips. Breaking down the technique so you can understand. It's 4 tips with clips by All Eyes DB Camp. All right, let's jump right into it. As you know, busted coverages are a way of life when you play defense. You don't want it to be too much of a way of life, because then you end up having a really bad defense, and you know, you can only bust so many coverages per game until it really starts to affect you. But the truth of the matter is that they do happen, and a lot of times you will see those busts come when there are something known as mixed coverages. And what do I mean by that? There's one coverage being played on one side of the field, and there's a different coverage being played on the other side of the field. One of the most common ones is cover 6, where you'll have 4 to one side of the field and 2 to the other side of the field. And in this first clip, we're going to see a possibility where this has happened. Now, I'm saying possibility because I'm not on the team. I wasn't in the huddle, and so I don't know exactly what the call was. I'm giving you merely my impression of what I think happened, and I think it's a situation where the Titans were playing the Texans. The Titans are on defense, and they had a miscommunication in what looks to have been cover 6, and we have a corner thinking that it's 2 when it's 4, or a safety thinking it's 4 when it's 2. Who's to know? Who's to blame? That's why, you know, I don't get, you know, sometimes fans get on a player, or they'll say a guy is beat, and they offer these harsh criticisms. Let me tell you something. As someone who's played and coached this game, you don't know exactly what was called and who's at fault. You may think you know, but you don't know. So if someone like myself who's played and coached the game cannot be definite about who exactly went wrong, then I'm here to tell you, you're most likely off too, as the casual fan watching the game. So if you're a coach or a player watching this video, you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But let's jump into this clip between the Texans and the Titans, and we can get into what exactly happened in this clip and how things could have been improved. All right, let's take a look at this right here. We're going to run it back. All right, so as we can see, we've got a setup here with 2 high safeties, and what I believe, we have a mixed coverage here, and into the boundary down here at the bottom, I think that's probably supposed to be our cover 2 side. But again, I'm not in the huddle, don't know. To the top, I think we've got cover 4, and we're going to see how this whole thing worked out. We get a jam by the corner right here. So that's an indication that he at least thought it was cover 2. If it was cover 4 to this side, I can tell you right now he would not be getting a jam on this wide receiver. So this right here by the corner at the bottom tells me he thinks it's some kind of cover 2 where he's squatting. What we have by the safety, if you'll notice to that side, is him trying to pick up number 2, trying to match the pattern of number 2 coming up the field, and this is cover 4 type behavior. So we've got a corner thinking it's 2 and a safety thinking it's 4. That is definitely a recipe for disaster if we get vertical routes, which we do by number 1 here. If we got a vertical route by number 2, it wouldn't have been so bad. You know, the safety would have taken him. But the worst thing in the world that could have happened was a vertical route by number 1, and that's what we get now. The reason that I thought this was cover 6, because at the top of the screen, we do have cover 4 being played up there. As you can see, the corner at the top is playing what looks to be cover 4. He's zoned off in his quarter, and we see the safety to that side, waiting to see the release of 2. And the action at the top of the screen very much says that that's quarters or some version of it. So when you've got cover 6, to one side it's cover 4 and the other side it's cover 2. Typically, how this is run is you get cover 4 to the field, which would be the top of the screen. All right. When I say the field, that means the side of the field that has more space, which is away from the boundary. And into the boundary is where you would play the cover 2. You have a safety high, and then you got a corner down low. So this would lead me to believe if this is played in Houston the way it's played in most places, that the safety is probably at fault here. Either way, there's a miscommunication. When you have cover 6, even though it should be understood which side has 4 and which side has 2, it's best as a safety to communicate it anyway. Just to remind the guy, you never know what may have distracted a player on this particular, on any given play. They may be distracted by something. It's good to just communicate it anyway. Either way, we end up with a guy wide open and no corner or safety to speak of, and that's what I believe happened on this particular clip. Continuing on with it here, getting a closer look. There's the up close look at the corner getting a jam, and there's the hands filling out. That's the international what the hell's going on, why isn't anyone back here look. Gets the jam, looks back, probably sees the safety right down there with him and wants to know, well, who the hell's back here? You know who's back there? Nobody's back there. It's a touchdown for the offense, and someone's going to have to pick up the phone on the sidelines. You guys in the comments can tell me what you think went wrong here, who you think was at fault. Was it the corner? Was it the safety? Based on what you saw and what you know, drop a comment in there and let me know what you guys think. All right? So there you have it. Like I said, a lot of times you do have these busts in coverage. It happens at every level, NFL, college, high school, of course, Little League. Any level that you're playing pass defense, there are going to be miscommunications and busted coverages, which oftentimes leads a guy wide open, as we saw in this particular case. And when you're at these high levels, college and NFL, typically it comes from either a mixed coverage where there's one coverage being played on one side of the field and a different coverage being played on the other side of the field, or if you started off in an original coverage and the offense changed some kind of formation, a guy went in motion, no, they traded a tight end, and now you needed to change from one coverage over to another. You've got 4 or 5 guys, maybe even 6 back there in the secondary that needed to hear it. Somebody doesn't say something or somebody didn't hear something, so you're playing the wrong coverage, and that leaves a guy wide open. It's more common than you guys think, and I believe that's what happened in this particular case. All right, in this next clip, it's technique time. We're not talking about coverage here. We're just talking about plain old simple technique, and this is something that I'm seeing happening more and more. And the reason for it, well, first of all, let me just, without getting into the clip yet, talk about what's happening. It's guys trying to defend the back shoulder fade that is either coming or not coming, and they're not sure which way to turn their head. So we're going to get a look at that in this next clip that features the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on defense against the San Diego Chargers, who are on offense from their game 2 weeks ago. So what I'm seeing now is there's this proliferation of back shoulder fades that are being thrown in the game of football, especially in the NFL. It's been one of the great renovations or revolutions in the game of football, especially in the passing game, where you can still make a throw on a fade even when a guy's covered, and the way that they do that is throwing the back shoulder. So with the amount of back shoulder fades that have been completed over the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even a decade, you see defensive backs more and more trying to defend the back shoulder. They're trying to defend the back shoulder more than they're defending the regular old traditional fade. So sometimes it's getting guys out of whack. And in this next clip, I'm going to talk about a back shoulder fade that was completed even when a guy was trying to defend it. We'll talk about his technique and how things could have been better on that, and what I see happening and how you can go about defending that back shoulder fade and turning your head the proper way more times than not. Let's head over to the tape. So here we are getting a look at this one. Not a bad job by the corner in this case, Sean Murphy bunting. And, you know, this is a good way that you guys can tell what the wide receiver is up to. I mean, Mike Williams is making very little effort here to get off of the jam. And that's typically an indication that it's a back shoulder, because they don't care about beating you at the line of scrimmage. And they're really not trying to beat you over the top. So they'll take your contact, which Mike Williams is, you know, actually even really inviting here. You know, he gives a little weak throw of the arm. But here's the point. I get that you think a back shoulder may be coming, cornerback, all right, and you look in that way. That's not even that bad of a thing. But I'm going to tell you this: when you get this guy running this far into the sideline, right now you have him pinned to the sideline. You have him pinned to the sideline. Turn your head inside. Turn your head inside. Get your head around, and you might be in a better position to see and locate that ball and make a play on it. So I'm going to tell you, from right about here, he should probably be trying to get his body into his, squeeze him to that sideline and get the head around. Tough play, sure. That's what the thing is with back shoulders. But when you get him all the way here and now you're trying to turn and look into the wide receiver to locate the ball, it becomes difficult for you as a cornerback. And I'm seeing this happen more and more. Cornerbacks are pinning guys to the sidelines, and then they're trying to look through them for the ball. Okay, now looking through the wide receiver for the ball on what you perceive to be a back shoulder is a good idea, but not when you've got him that close to the sidelines. If he was further inside, then I say turn towards him, because there's a whole lot of room outside of the wide receiver to put that ball. But once you've got him pinned to the sidelines like this, it's best to get that head around and look inside instead of looking through the man. All right, and I'm seeing this again more and more often. Maybe, perhaps even the wide receivers in the offenses are making an adjustment by running straight to the sideline, knowing that the corners now are trying to look through the wide receivers for the ball, and knowing that that's a difficult angle for your head to turn and locate the ball. And I think receivers are now just running straight to that sideline and making it more difficult. So now cornerbacks have to adjust. If this guy goes and runs straight to the sideline right now, get your body into his, look inside rather than through him. That means turn your head the other way, get your body into his, squeeze your hips into him, keep pushing him to the sidelines, get your head around to the inside. You'll see that throw coming. You'll be able to pull up and perhaps get two hands on it and maybe even get an interception. All right, that's my thoughts on this, as I'm seeing it happen more and more, and I'm getting sick of these back shoulders. And I've noticed an adjustment by the wide receivers and the quarterbacks, and it's time for us as corners now to make our own adjustment. So as you guys can see, we're getting a lot of turns by defensive backs into the wide receivers. And again, I understand the reasons for that because of the back shoulder fades, but there's a right time and a wrong time to turn into that wide receiver. And, you know, as I adequately explained in there, you've got to know where you are on the field. You've got to know your relationship to the sideline, and exactly, you know, how difficult it's going to be for you to actually see the ball in relation to the amount of space that you have towards the sideline. You also, too, have got to be really good at judging where that receiver's shoulder is turning. So that's going to be very important as well. So there you go. That's my technique talk on the back shoulder fade, stuff we're seeing a lot. I'm sure as I go through this series, we're going to have more and more technique talk on back shoulder fades, because they're happening each and every week, and guys are either defending them right or they're not, and they're either getting hit on them or they're making spectacular plays. I see both happen each and every week. All right. Our third clip involves a very, very big no. All right, from the time you start playing defensive back, if you have a coach of any kind of quality, he is going to get on your case and tell you about opening the gate. If you've played defensive back, corner for any amount of time, and you've had to play press man on anybody, you have heard a coach somewhere say either to you or someone else, don't just open the gate. And that's exactly what we're going to get here. Now you need to understand why that is not a good thing to do, and we also need to talk about why that actually happened. So we're going to talk about that in this next clip that features the San Francisco 49ers on defense playing in their game against the Miami Dolphins. It was not a great defensive performance for the San Francisco 49ers. Certainly not what we're used to, as they've had to juggle some players around in the secondary due to injury, and you had a young guy in there that's kind of wet behind the ears. So we're going to talk about what he did wrong in this clip. It's going to be pretty obvious, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail as to why opening the gate causes problems for you in press man coverage. On to the clip. Okay, let's talk about this big 100% big no-no. All right, as I said, man, from the time you start playing corner in high school, they tell you that this is not the move. All right, so take a look at our corner at the top. He's the victim in this particular case. You see the gate open right now. This is not the way to go. You don't want to give this receiver a free release, and it doesn't get any freer than this. This route is run just like it looks in the playbook. A straight line, a beeline for the end zone, turned it into a foot race, and it's going to be very difficult to win that. And on top of that, you don't know when that ball is going to be thrown. You know, you may be, a step or two short early in the route, and that could be when the ball is coming. So you may even be faster than this wide receiver, which I don't think is the case here, but you may even be faster than this guy. But if he gets a jump on you, if he gets a step on you early and the ball's thrown early, you're beat. All right, so you really just can't open the gate like this. I'm not sure why he did that. Not an experienced corner. I'm sure it's something that he was told afterwards, and he'll learn from it, hopefully. But this, at all levels, is a no-no. Okay, you don't open like this unless you have supreme speed. I mean, like Deion Sanders is the kind of guy that would be able to do this, and even, which I did see him do from time to time, but even he didn't do this as much. And so if you don't have elite, world-class type speed, this is not something you want to do. This is not the way to go. You don't open that gate. You don't give them a free release, because this is going to be the end result just about every time. And I think, no, we don't get a closer look at it. But looking at it from the top here one more time, you've got to use some kind of lateral movement, whether it's a kick slide or it's a hard slide to the top, or even if you execute some type of soft press and you try and stay in front of the wide receiver. Anything would be better than just opening the gate and letting this guy in the yard to do whatever he wants. So if you're a corner at any level, this is a no-no. This is the NFL, and this is happening. So high school, college, NFL, opening the gate, this is the end result of the gate being open. So if you've ever heard your coach say that, this is what he's in fear of, just giving a wide receiver a free release and a race to the end zone for him to get 6 and put 6 on the board. Don't open the gate. So guys, technique. You gotta have it. It's like your gun if you're going to war, all right? You wouldn't go fight the enemy in the army in a battle without your gun. Your gun essentially is your technique. You're going out there without technique, you're really just taking a knife or your bare hands to a gunfight, and as you can see, you're going to get shot. So I don't think I need to belabor on the whole point of why you don't need to open the gate. I think I said enough about it in that video so you guys understand. Hopefully this is not a habit that you form, because it is one that's difficult to break, but it can be broken. And so hopefully you don't do this same thing, and hopefully you don't fall into that same trap, because you may win a couple of your battles opening the gate, but more often than not, you're going to fall victim to big plays if you open the gate. And for my final clip, I wanted to end on a good note. Safety play. All right, we pretty much talked about corners in the last 2 clips. I want to talk about safety play, and we're going to end this one on a good note. It's a great run force by a gentleman that I happen to train in the off season, Bobby McCain of the Miami Dolphins. Came into the league as a corner / nickel guy, moved to safety, welcomed the move, and he has played it quite well. He has embraced it, and he has really been solid back there in patrolling the deep half of the secondary, or the deep middle in this particular case, for the Miami Dolphins. So really happy with how he looks here. And it's something that's very important for safeties, which is coming up and making tackles in the run, and allowing your team to have another chance. This particular case, it happens in the red zone. It is the Miami Dolphins game against the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to break this down for you and show you some of the great things. Bobby's such a technically sound guy, and this is just going to lend itself to that whole idea of him being on the little details. He's that kind of a guy, and you're going to see where he did follow the protocol as a safety in this particular situation and comes up and makes a pretty great play in a game against San Francisco. Out on the West Coast, again, it was a great game for the Dolphins. They ended up blowing out the San Francisco 49ers, and this was one of the great plays in it. So on to the clip.
And finally, like I said, I want to end this on a good note, and this is a great play by the free safety, Bobby McCain, who trains with me in the off-season. I can't take credit for this. We don't work on tackling in our drill work in the off-season, but Bobby's a very detailed guy, very diligent in his work, and as someone who came into this league as a corner and then a nickel and now a safety, this is just a testament to his work ethic and his attention to detail, what he does here. So many times I have seen free safeties in this particular situation go screaming to the sidelines because the initial action of this run play is a toss, which is designed to go outside. And they will go running behind the pile of bodies and try to catch the running back going outside and ignore the big gaping hole that's here in the middle. But Bobby, being the experienced player that he is and having some attention to detail, says there's a mass of bodies outside. If he decides to run up in there, that's what he's running. That's what he's going to be running into. So why don't I stay behind the play as a single high free safety, which is what I should be doing. I'm not responsible really for a run outside. If I'm going to take care of a run outside, it would be further up the field, even though we're in the red zone. But kudos to him for knowing I'm in the middle of the field. So I'm going to stay behind this toss. You see how wide this running back is with the ball? Notice how Bobby stays behind the play, waiting for the inevitable cutback, because that mass of bodies out here is what the running back is seeing too. And that's going to eventually make him cut back. And that's when you, as a guy who's playing in the middle of the field, comes up and fills. This is a really great play by Bobby right here. I can't say enough about it. Now, this won't get a ton of credit in a broadcast or with the layman watching it, but this is an incredible play coming up, balancing up with space on both sides. This is the hardest tackle a free safety has to make, where a running back is coming at him with a two-way go. He can go inside or outside, and it's a good job of him staying behind the play, balancing up and making a short tackle here in the red zone, because you never know when something like that could turn into a team having to kick a field goal as opposed to getting 7 points. And with the way the NFL is and games being decided by 3 points or one possession every week, this is a very, very huge play.
So a terrific play by Bobby in that particular case. It's always great when you can see a safety come up from the middle, deep part of the field, come up, because this is one of the more difficult things to do, to come from that far back and make an open field tackle essentially on a running back who basically has a two-way go, or three-way go, quite honestly. He can go left, right, or he could run over you. So it was good to see Bobby come up, use the proper leverage, balance up, make the tackle, and give his team another chance. A lot of times a situation like that can happen. You never know what takes place on the next play. They could fumble a snap, they could throw an interception, they could miss a kick. So, even though I know it occurred in the red zone and that's an area where teams get points, they don't have to get points. So making a big play there, knocking a ball down, making a key tackle like Bobby did on that, those are essential plays, especially in games that are close or that are hotly contested. So very, very good play by him. And that allows me to end on a good note here in our first edition of 4 Clips with Tips. And so I look forward to you guys joining me again in the future. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this on a weekly basis. So happy to have you guys here every week. And by all means, use the comment section to ask your questions or give any feedback. Talk about some things that you would like to see me put on video here. I am going to draw from clips and action that has happened in the NFL, but I will keep a mind to any comments that you guys make about some things that you would like to see here on the channel. I also want to take this moment to talk to you guys about joining the All Eyes DB Camp members area. Yes, I'm breaking down film here and talking about different aspects of technique, but if you want to get into the hardcore details of how to execute, drills that you can do, a little more detailed analysis on coverages, as well as talking about technique. And I've got over 100 videos in the members area right now at All Eyes DB Camp talking about coverage, technique, drills. I even got a series going right now on building speed for defensive backs. Everything you could possibly need to reach your peak as a defensive back, I have going in that members area right now. It's the greatest investment you can make. So I'll have a link in the description down below. Go ahead, click it, check it out. I would urge you to join. I've got guys from high school, college, and all over using it. That's coaches and players using it to raise their game to the next level. The best investment you can make is in yourself. All right, enough of me shilling my stuff. I want to thank you guys for watching me on this first edition of 4 clips with tips. I've got to say that out fast, but appreciate you guys joining me. And until next time, all eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.